Hello, frugal friends. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing our weekly word and we're going to be studying in Daniel 3. So I'm going to summarize the first part and then we'll begin reading at 14. Okay. King Nebuchadnezzar made a golden image that was 90 feet high and 9 feet wide. It was an idol. He set it up on the plain of Dura and summons all the important men, the governors and important men, to the dedication of the golden idol. And a herald loudly proclaimed to all the people they were commanded, as soon as they heard the pipes of the lyre or music, they must fall down and worship the image of gold or be thrown into a fiery pit. And that's what everyone did. But one day, some of the astrologers went to the king and told him that 3 Jewish boys were not doing as they were commanded to worship this golden idol. Nebuchadnezzar sent for them. And he thought very highly of these 3 young men because Daniel was their friend and had interpreted a dream for him. And so he thought highly of them. And so he sent for them. And he said unto them, "Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods or worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if ye be ready, that at what time you hear the sound of the music, ye fall down, worship the image which I have made, well. But if ye worship not, ye should be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands?" Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. He will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar, full of fury, his face changed, and he had changed against Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. Therefore he spoke and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was supposed to be, or it usually was. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind the 3 boys and to cast them into the burning fiery pit. Then these men were bound in their coats, their harness, and all their clothes, talking about the 3 boys, and were cast into the midst of the burning fire. Therefore, because the king commandment was so urgent and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire killed the men who took them up. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished and rose up in haste and spoke and said unto the counselors, "Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire?" They answered and said unto the king, "True, O king." He answered and said, "Lo, I see 4 loose walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God." Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spoke and said, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you servants of the Most High God." Oh, he changed quick, didn't he? "Come forth and come hither." Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire, and all of the important men gathered together and saw that they hadn't been, harmed at all. Their head weren't singed, their coats weren't changed, and they didn't even smell like smoke. Then Nebuchadnezzar spoke and said, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him and have changed the king's words and yielded their body that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own. So their obedience, I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, that is, the whole scripture is amazing, but just the fact that they were obedient to God in that, and they refused. They were not going to bow down. They were not going to worship idols. They were not going to be intimidated. And they actually were thrown into the fire. My mother-in-law, that's the first scripture she ever shared with me. She was an evangelist. And I remember her sharing that with me, and I was just amazed, especially when she said they didn't even smell like smoke. I mean, they were in a burning fire, turned up 7 times hotter than it usually was. The people who took them up, the men who took them up, didn't even survive it. But I said, well, who was in the fire with them? And she said, well, it was Jesus. So, Jesus can be with us. That's the thing. He is with us. No matter what it is we're going through, he's with us. We may feel alone or, like there's no one there to help us, but Jesus is always with us. All we have to do is cry out to him and ask him to help us, and he will help us. It may not happen instantly, but he's always on time. He's an on-time God. And so we must be obedient to him, and we must make choices, And the choices that we read about, people like these 3 Jewish boys or men having to make, we don't even have, our choices are not that hard like that. We have simple choices, choices to do good or to do evil. Choices to lie or tell the truth. Choices to steal or not to steal. I mean, our choices are very simple in comparison to what the people in the Bible days went through. So we must be obedient, and Jesus will be with us in a fire or wherever we're at, whatever we're walking through or going through. He's always there with us. He never said that things would be easy for us, because we all know they're not. I mean, we struggle daily sometimes, but Jesus is the good news, and he is there with us no matter what. So thank you for spending some time with me today, and as always, be blessed.